Hello everyone. Today I wanted to release a product that I am quite excited about. Normally I try to make one thing, centralized program that does one thing or many things or whatever, but in this particular case I decided to make many different scripts that do many different things. The idea behind this was that you can take these scripts and plug them directly into your own programs that you already have or that you want to make in the future, and it will make your life a lot easier. A lot of these things are things that you would already normally do anyway, and sometimes they're tedious or complicated to figure out, or maybe you just don't know how to do it. And so I've just already gone ahead and done it for you, basically. Um, there's 5 different categories as of right now, and there are 22 different scripts as of right now, literally ranging from 1 or 2 nodes to, like this. If I were to undo this, I'm sure this would be many, many lines. Not like thousands or anything like that. Probably not even several hundred, but it's it's not like 2 nodes or anything. So it probably averages out to be pretty good. So like we have the search engine section. Right now we have Google and YouTube. Oh, and I just want to mention there are 22 scripts right now, but that's not a fixed number, obviously. So I can't say how many there will be in the future, but obviously that number is going to grow. Um, all right, so search engines right now we have Google and YouTube. I have a list of more obviously that I might add. I just sort of want to get some feedback first and see what everyone what everyone thinks. If they think that one thing's more useful than another, then obviously I'll put more focus into that. So there's that. Social signals. Um, as you can see, we have a bunch here. I'll come back to this though. Links. These have to do with grabbing links, um, and you know without using the HTTP links finder and the HTTP post plugin, and I'll explain why later. Open in browser. Now, like this is like where the like really tiny ones come in, but they're just sort of these cool little tricks and hacks, almost maybe, if you will, that different ways to open uh links in your default browser. So again, I'll come back to all this. And text, just some different text functions that are useful. So I'm going to go over each one in a little bit more detail, but I can't go over each actual individual script or we'll be here all day. So um, they're all set up in a pretty similar format where you're going to have an example area and you're going to have this little bit here where it's divider. You can copy a script below. So this is going to be the script that you copy into your own source code. This is where the magic happens. It's going to do all the work for you, and basically you're going to use it in a similar fashion to this, but it doesn't have to be exactly like this. So in this particular case, this is really the only part that is going to be required. This is a function. When you get it, it'll be pretty easy to see, it's a function and here are the parameters. So um, this is really the only part that's required. The rest of this is just showing you a really, really small example of how you can use it. So in this particular case, this is going to go search Google. It's going to loop 3 times. So it's going to search for basically 3 pages for the keyword cookie recipe. And so I'll just hit run real quick so you can see what's going on here. And it's going to take a couple seconds in between each one. And there are the results right there. And so it's just going to Google and it's pulling them back. And you can add in these different parameters like the keyword, obviously, the page number, and the rest of the parameters that the HTTP post is gonna take. You don't have to fill them in, obviously, if you don't want to. In this case, you're gonna need these two, or it's not gonna work right. But the rest of them you can leave blank if you want, but they're there if you need them. So these are going to be set up for multi-threaded. They are using the HTTP post plugin, and they're all set up with local variables and whatnot down here. You're just going to have to actually do the multi-threading, code part. That's sort of like the idea behind this is I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you sort of like the resources to do it, you know? So I'm not going to go over YouTube because it's basically the exact same thing. You're going to have a keyword and a page number and all these other parameters, and it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to do it on YouTube and pull it back. The only difference there is it's not going to pull back the full URL, but it's going to pull back the slash, uh, watch question mark equals video or whatever it is. And you can use another function inside of this package to actually uh, prepend or add a prefix, but I'll go over that later. So, the search engines, alright. So, I guess while we're here, you can add a prefix to lines, so this is gonna, it's gonna, here, let me just show you I'll just show you the example. It's just gonna be really easy. So, here's a text. Let's pretend we just did that YouTube thing and it came back with, you know, each line's going to look like that. Obviously, if you want to use them, you're going to have to do that. So you just take them in to this other function that comes in the package already. You just copy that in, and you just plug it right in. So, sorry, let me sort of get my bearings here. So this would be the starting list. Instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there would be all your YouTube URLs that looked like that. And then this is where the results are going to go. So this is this add prefix bit here. That is really where the magic happens. That's calling this function. This is the list up here, which we can substitute for this. And then instead of adding prefix, we could add that. And then if we were to hit run, oopsie. Instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's prefix, or in this case, instead of it being the slash, video or slash watch, it could be youtube.com, and then it would be the slash watch. I hope that didn't just get really confusing. Basically, it's just adding a prefix. I don't know how else to explain it. I hope that doesn't get too confusing, but if anyone gets super duper confused on what I just did or said, just PM me or something. Anyways, so these are different text functions. We have 5 different ones here. This one's get numbers by increment. So if you wanted to have a start number of 0 and an end number of 1,000 and the increment of 10, you can do that, and I've already done that, like 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 1,000. If you wanted to make a drop-down menu really quickly, like you can take this function and or just copy this whole script basically and make a little program to do it, and you would always be able to make drop downs super simple. This one counts words in a string, pretty straightforward, not going to go over that. Add prefix to line, so basically for every line there is, add something in front of it. If each line, there's like 10 lines and the first one said mouse and you wanted to add the in front of it, you would just put the right there with a space, and then it would add it in front of it. Add suffix. Suffix means add to the end, so it could be mouse. Let's say it was mouse space pad. And remove lines containing. So in this particular example, let's just show you. Basically, in this example that I have here, it's going to remove the lines containing music. So there's 4 different lines in this list, and then we call this function that's been made here, and any line with the word music in it gets removed. So this list is called remove example. Just run that real quick, and we have these 2 lines that don't contain the word music. So it's just a little script that'll remove lines containing X, basically, whatever you want X to be. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the search engines one because we covered that already. Open in browser. I'm really not going to go over all these, but basically they're all different ways to open a URL in your default browser from the Ubot standard UI. You can still use a standard UI, of course, in any level of Ubot, but if for some reason you want to be able to open a link in your browser by by running something like load HTML, like here's the load HTML button. You know, if I click this, it would open my browser. I don't want to do that right now, but or if I wanted it to be a link, or if I wanted it to be a URL up here, or if I want it to be a button. And actually, if you click on this tab over here, it's just going to open it without you doing anything. So I'm not going to click on that. So these are really short, but they're just cool little, almost like UI hacks, if you will. That can be useful, especially if you don't use the UI HTML panel. You may definitely find these really useful. I know I have. Okay, so links. I probably should go over that last. That one might get a little confusing. Social signals. This one's straightforward. You know, here's Alexa rank. You want the Alexa rank of Ubot Studio. This is great because it's literally one node. It is set up. They're already set up for multi-threading and everything, so you could drop this into a multi-threaded bot, and it's literally just like a. It's real straightforward. Just hit run right there, and it'll check the Alexa rank of ubotstudio.com. In this, we have basically pre-coded for you Alexa, and these are all just, they're all the same. They're all, you know, set this one variable. Of course, you don't have to use it this way. You can use it how you want, but it's real straightforward and simple for all these, which is nice. So we have Alexa, Facebook shares, Facebook likes, Twitter count, because that's just how they do it. Pinterest count. What is that? 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Google Plus again count. LinkedIn I think is a count, and then we have stumble upon views. So we have 8 different pre-coded social signals, um, templates, I guess, or scripts, if you will, or functions, I should say. Uh, so you could just drop these right into a bot. If you use the, you know, search YouTube videos or the search Google in conjunction with this, you basically already have a piece of software. Um, and I know I've written software that uses real similar stuff, and it is slightly different. Um, these just take different parameters, and it's basically, it was just made for this. You know, like I have to sort of rip everything apart a little bit and just make it so that it'll work for this. Basically, this was literally made so you can hit copy and paste, and then if you want, just copy this and paste in your own bot as well, or you just use this function however you really want to. Okay, links. This is one, I created this out of a need, actually. One of the bots I'm making, which I've been making for, it feels like forever now. It will come out eventually. It's going to be something really cool that I think you guys are really going to like. It's just, it's it's a long testing process for this one. But what I didn't like was that the HTTP links finder doesn't grab all of the links on the page. So I have an example here. Um, all of these links, like this services, it's in the HTML, it's just this. Or maybe it's not HTML, I'm not sure, but instead of it being the full URL like that, it's actually just that, and the HTTP links finder skips over those. So I wanted to create something that basically gets more of these links, because sometimes you may need those. You know, there are cases where you need those, and realizing that skip those over, it might actually really slow down a bot, or it might make it really inaccurate, or it might sort of kill the point, which is something that happened to me in the bot that I was making, it should be able to work on any website. Well, if you run into a website like this, the bot's not going to work at all. So I really had a big issue with that, and so that's why I made this. There is one caveat though. Uh, it doesn't work going up directories like that. So at least for now, it does not do that. But it at least gets the important ones, which are going to be like, like stuff like this that are in the same directory, or in a uh, whatever, in another directory like that. But in some cases they are going to go backwards, you know and move up a directory for whatever reason. So right now it doesn't handle that, but it should at the very least pick up more, and in the future hopefully it'll handle that as well. So um, there's like a lot of text here that sort of explains it, and that website, you can go to it, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Like, I'm not going to show you the HTTP links finder, but you can test it for yourself on this website. It won't work. And if you, as you can see here, it does work with that. And get links based on, oh, sorry. Okay. Uh, sorry, I haven't updated the HTTP post plugin on my laptop yet here, and I wrote this all on the desktop only to realize that I was getting like ready to record everything, and then I'm like, oh, I'd formatted my desktop recently. I don't have the recording software on there, so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do all this on my laptop. So that's why that just happened. But basically, you can add extensions like this. The example I have does this. So it'll go to the website, or go to the URL, and it'll pull all the links using this function actually first, and then it'll process them and it'll pull out links, only links that contain the extensions PDF and .doc. And of course you can change these and make them whatever you want. So that actually sort of is everything just covered a little kind of briefly, and I hope that wasn't like confusing or anything, but there's sort of like a lot to cover. And if you are seeing this page 6 months in the future from now, uh, you know, please look below the video and see what else it does, because, um, this is kind of like a dynamic project. It's not something that I make once and sell, but rather something that I'll probably add to over time, and especially after I get some feedback from you guys. So please feel free to leave reasonable feedback, and I will see what I can do.